When I have an out-of-tune instrument, I need a tuning fork. So a tuning fork represents a specific note in its perfected state. There's no disharmony. So then I can hear what the actual note sounds like, and then I can see whatever note I'm actually playing and see, it's out of tune. They don't converge. And then I have a point of reference to adjust. Once a musician is very good, they know what it's supposed to sound like and how it's supposed to feel like, more importantly. Well, in the same way, the human body is an instrument. When it's properly accorded, tuned, it vibrates in a particular kind of way and you can feel it in a particular kind of way. If now a person's out of tune, well, you need a tuning fork. The medicine man, the doctor, should be the tuning fork. And instead of going like this, take this herb, adjust this, think like this, what about that? So they're adjusting the chord so that it can start to vibrate effectively. Once an instrument, for example, myself, I'm at a certain level of, let's say, I have a form of harmony. So from the level of harmony, I know that that's mine. There's deeper levels. For this, I need tuning fork. But for whatever, let's say I'm in the 5th grade of harmony. So the moment I get off of 5th grade, I immediately know, and I know exactly what to do to reclaim this. If I want to go further, I want to be even more precise, I need an instrument to assist me, which is a teacher. Teacher, with capital T, which is a big word, which is not ChatGPT-like. It is a person who's the embodiment of what you want. And the doctor is supposed to represent health. So if you want health, you go see the doctor. So he has what you want. Therefore, he is tuned to the frequency of health. Yes, and then we need to define health. So health is generally defined as dharma, the current of life in a vehicle. It's the same current of life. In the vehicle, each vehicle expresses the current of life differently, but it is the same current of life, and therefore the doctor / the teacher / the guru / the shaman / whatever word you feel like using, whose job is to help a person find harmony in life, is the representation of dharma, or that current of life, and will help, depending on their skill set, to tune your body so it can be a proper channel to dharma, which is the same, expressed differently in different people, but it's always the same dharma. It's one current. And technically, I'm going to push this just a tiny little bit further. In another universe, we have a hierarchy of tuners. So we have, let's say, the spiritual guru. He tunes spirit. Then we would have a Jyotishi. He tunes karma. Then we have Ayurveda, the Vaidya. He tunes physiology. But each one of them, I'm just using, we can add more, right? Then there is going to be the guy who does, they don't call it feng shui, but it slips my mind just now. Well, he's going to tune your space. And so on and so forth. And everybody's tuned to this. So if the artist does something, it's tuned to dharma, so that the art doesn't disturb peace. Look at the difference between now and today. Now, this is in an ideal universe. It's not the point. So there's a hierarchy, but they're all serving the same thing. But they have different functions depending on their specialization. I'm not sure one is more important than the other, but the sun is higher. So we would say the guru is highest. But have a guru and then, well, everybody's out of tune. Yeah, because now you got to tune them at a more practical level. Yeah, but he doesn't do that. Because if he does that, he has to come down. So if he comes down, who does this? His attention has to remain level. So they all technically, when there's a harmony in an actual society, they all work for the same dharma, but they have different functions. And the whole point is to tune the individual effectively and properly to dharma and with their specific makeup. And then from there, the entire society is constructed, or could be or should be constructed, with the purpose of, well, facilitating attunement. If we create now a structure that is out of tune or creates distunement, then we won't create it this way. Then we'll learn the science of creating a space that facilitates attunement. So it's going to spread now to the architects and the engineer. And the engineer is going to start selecting specific materials in the science of materials, understanding, well, these material maintain, these material can, well, if we have a problem with this specific dosha, in other words, a specific aspect of your constitution, we can use that element which will help it bring it in tune, but this one can hold the tuning. So everybody's working for Dharma. Because the only purpose of the society, which is nothing more than a bunch of cells coming together, is to express Dharma via the human species or the human, whatever, tribe, cellular tissue. That's the point. So everybody's working for Dharma, but everybody at their level. So who's more important? It would be very hard to say. We will, of course, always praise the sun, because it starts with the sun. Yes, it starts with the sun. Somebody has to have the highest position, as that's the sun. So all praises to the sun. All praises. And then from there, that's the sun pretty much. Now everything is animated and everybody else has to come into play. If the other parts don't come into play, there's chaos. There's not one who's not as important, except they don't have the same levels in the hierarchy. But the purpose of the hierarchy is to channel Dharma. But it starts with the sun. So that's why it's special, because it starts with the sun. That's what makes it special. It's the starting point. Yes, but let's now get over it. Like, do we every day our lives spend our entire day sun? No, you have a bunch of things to do. But when the sun comes up, you think about the sun, can't help yourself. When the sun is fucking hot and it's peaking, you can't help yourself, especially if you're outside. And when the sun sets, you can't help yourself. Then at night, you wait for the sun. So it has its moments where it becomes the fulcrum of your attention. The rest of the day, you go about your business. In other words, you play with the other elements. You do your other things. If it took all your attention all the time, we wouldn't do anything. But it's the starting point. So it has its importance, which doesn't make it more important, but it's the starting point. And everything else is there to serve Dharma. That means the sun also. The sun is not, when we say, let's say the king, sun king, and everybody imagines the king like, look, I'm the center of attention. No, this is the first servant of Dharma. Second servant, third servant, fourth servant. And there's a hierarchy. Is the fifth less important than the third? No. If you cut the fifth, then there's no limb. So there's no arm. But what's the point? We have a spine. We have a thorax. It has no hand. Yes, because the hand is not as important. I, as the hand, refuse to do anything if I'm not number one. But it starts there. We don't care about the hand. Well, then you don't do anything. So what was the point of the whole thing? There's the sun. And? I'm the most amazing. Well, you're the most amazing only if you birth everything. If you're a sun and you birth nothing, you have failed as a sun. Well, from a point of view, if everything is properly adjusted so that something can be birthed, then you have failed. So what was the point? The point of you to exist was to ignite life. It was not about you. So the sun is a servant. That's what I keep on trying to say, but people have a hard time to grasp this. Everybody's so scared of power and so scared of hierarchy because they don't understand, well, how it works. I'm serving. Yeah, but what? Well, that's what I'm trying to say. A current. So I'm simplifying it by saying Dharma. We can go way deeper. I'm not going to do that. Just Dharma. That means the current of life. That's how I want to define it. Yeah, but so then the king, the sun, or the head guru, the head priest, is the first in line in the service. Yeah, but alone, what's that person going to do? Like I said, if every aspect of society, that means every level of work needs to be established in that spirit. If there's anything out of tune, okay, great. So everybody's in tune, and then you live in an apartment that is constructed with demonic ideas. That means to break your container. You can't meditate. There goes your there goes your tuneness. You can't sleep. There goes your hormonal system. You can't have a decent conversation because everything irritates you. There goes your relationship. You're going downhill. It don't matter now. From a house. So we would say that this person, this is just a house builder. He's unimportant in the light of the king. Yeah, but this guy is building where you're going to live. Like technically he's almost more important because the sun, you see it a couple of times a day. That's pretty much it. You live in the house every day, all day. And you shit on the person who's building it. And if the house ain't properly constructed, you go cuckoo. You don't even see it happening. It just creeps up on you, and next thing you know, you're insane. And you don't even know. So when you understand power in that way, you see things in a different light, and you understand the value of things. Of course, in today's society, none of that is taught. Nobody wants to learn this. Everybody wants to be number one. Well, I understand where it's coming from, but it is incorrect. And like I say, number one doesn't mean you're better. It just means it's your it's number one, first position. Well, somebody has to be number one. It doesn't mean it's better. You understand? Is the sun better than the wind? This is a very complex question. Is the sun better than the wind? Is the sun better than water? Is the sun better than the earth? No. They all have a function, but it's number one. It's the igniter, without which there's nothing. Yeah, but if you take away the wind, there's nothing also. And if you take away the water, there's nothing. And if you take away the earth, there's nothing. So I don't understand. So there's just different levels of operation. It's the same power. The earth is supreme from its level of operation. But it's here. The sun is here. It's first. The wind is supreme at its level of operation. Movement, in other words. So each one at their level is supreme. In this day and age, each level wants to be God. Nobody wants to celebrate the true spirit. That means, let's say, Dharma, to simplify. Each nodule, because earth, wind, fire, all this are nodules. It's an expression. It wants to be me. Welcome to this age. Me. Yeah, but there is no you, really. It's like a mechanism. The sun is just a mechanism. The elements are mechanisms. Each individual, each one of us is a mechanism, your tool, through which life, let's say here, Dharma, is meant to express its will, its agenda, its plan. That's it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's health. Now, of course, some people understand it theoretically, and then they try to, with their minds, impose this reality, and they're insane. That's insanity. It might as well be a fucking demon and take drugs and fuck all kinds of horrors all the time. Go over there. Okay? No, this has to come from inside. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't impose it. It's not a religion. Now, the Hindus talk quite a lot about it. And I can appreciate that about their tradition because they've been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure other people who've been around for a long time will say similar things. Because it's pretty fucking obvious. It's not complex. It's not rocket science. Now, the establishment, the re-establishment of actual health, well, that's rocket science. And then some. That means you got to be good to do that. You got to be. Not anybody could do that. You can't take a 10-week seminar and do that. No, you can't. You can't take a teacher training and do that. No, you can't go to school to do that. They could help, but it's not going to. That's not how life works. Anyways.